the most exciting adventure of your life. Cyclops and centaurs are waiting for you. Angels will be your guides to the world of miracles. Take the power. Become a warrior of light. Save the planet. Learn the secrets of little green men and life on other planets. How the gods create your destiny, and is it possible to change it? All the mysteries of humanity, life and death, angels and spirits in the animated masterpiece Life After Life.
And Vijnan saw the cowardly man who was to incarnate.
Perhaps to make him really strong so he's not afraid?
No. I'll just show him the absurdity of his fear. Whenever he is shy, he will miss his luck. Whenever he's afraid, it will be in vain. And when there will be nothing to worry about, misfortune will happen. So he will see the unreal nature of his fears.
Vijnan was very much surprised to see how God granted destiny to people, and he saw a greedy man incarnate.
Perhaps make him a beggar?
No, for I will give him great wealth, and he will go to a communist country. And there he will not be able to dispose of his wealth. He will even be afraid of anybody, thinking that he has something extra. And he will see the absurdity of his greed, the uselessness of his wealth, its relativity.
And they saw the villain incarnating.
Perhaps to cripple him, so he can't show his anger?
No. I will make him kill his nearest and dearest with impunity in a fit of rage, so that remorse may arise in him.
Vijnan was at first dismayed at this perspective. He felt sorry for the people who had been killed.
Think about it. They will go to heaven when they escape from this tyrant's grasp. After all, life after death is true freedom, but on earth it is a trial.
And joyfully then perceived Vijnana's conception of God, and they saw the proud man.
Perhaps to make him poor and insignificant so he has nothing to be proud of.
No. We'll give him everything he can be proud of. For if he is poor and weak, he will be envious and may learn to be proud of his poverty, saying, I am poor, but honest. I will deprive him of the love and understanding of people, and left alone, seeing the inner emptiness, he will begin to realize the folly of his pride. In this process, he will be aided by an incurable disease that will be slowly robbing him of his health and increasing the emptiness and sense of futility of his life. And I will send him, from time to time, wise people who will explain to him his condition, that it is the love and friendship between people that is the real value, not his pride. This finally will help him to understand a lot, especially in his old age, because old age and illnesses are created for that purpose, so that a person sees the fragility and impermanence of this world, stops clinging to it, thinking that this is the only reality, and thinks about the eternal, not walking around with rose-colored glasses, not identifying with the situation he is in. But looking at life more broadly, seeing all its sides, all its facets. And then he will have a broader, true understanding. And without diseases and old age, people will live after death in the subtle plane, in their real homeland, not in the temporary dwelling on earth.
And Vijnan saw the sick who wanted to regain their former life, but severe illness prevented them from doing so. And even the fact that some of them had belatedly adopted a healthy lifestyle did not help them. The disease was destroying the body, and their lives were totally dependent on its health, and were being destroyed along with it. God looked at them with suffering and waited for them to realize that it was time to start a new life, living in God. After all, illness is always a sign that something has to change, that one cannot go on living like this. He saw old people who were disappointed in life because their hopes and expectations were not fulfilled. But the wisest among them began to pray to God, preparing to meet Him. They understood that there is nothing to expect from a life that leads nowhere. They should look for something eternal, imperishable, and live in beyond their weary body and unrealized empty hopes and expectations, their soul and God, and seek to merge with Him.
So, how is karma formed?
Vijnan thought and immediately knew God's answer.
So, let's consider murder. If it is committed by a soldier who is forced to fight, and he does not want to, but he is not yet convinced enough to become a pacifist, then he does not have the karma of murder, but the karma of weakness, fear, susceptibility to social influence, because it is due to the fear that he continues to fight and listen to the command. If this fawning patriot, who has been indoctrinated to believe that he is killing enemies that are unworthy to live, and by doing so, he is accomplishing a great good, then here is karma of the fanatic and the fool, not the murderer. If a person did not mean to kill, but killed someone accidentally in a fight, he does not have the karma of a killer. Maybe there is a karma of a bully, or a hot-tempered person who has poor self-control in times of anger. But he could also be a kind guy who just wanted to protect someone. Then, especially, he doesn't have the karma of a killer. But if there is a coward who did not kill anyone, but mentally wished many to die, and within himself nurtured vindictiveness and anger, which he could not express because of his weakness and fear, then he has the karma of a murderer, because it is not the deed but the motive of the deed. That is, the course of thinking of the person, his emotional state. This is what constitutes karma, because the course of thinking and emotions determine how a person will live, what he will feel, what he will perceive, what kind of health he will have, and his relations with people. After all, a A person's attitude to himself generates his attitude to the world, and his attitude to other people generates their attitude to him. And all this creates karma. And he will be accountable before God not for his deeds, but for his thoughts and emotions, because it is the tendency to the way of thinking and emotional reactions. All these pass with him into the next life and creates a certain frame for his destiny. But it is God who decides what kind of fate will be. After all, fate does not depend only on a person's character and his inclinations, his mind, but it is determined by the place of birth, a person's environment, the course of events and situations in which he finds himself, his sex, physical data, and many other things that God gives him at his incarnation. And that is why people seemingly similar in character and thinking can have different destinies. It is just what is necessary for them to gain the missing experience and understanding for their development and perfection of their souls. And the more mature, self-sufficient, independent, and individualized a person becomes, the closer he gets to liberation. The ordinary person lives in imagination, and that is, in a sleeping state. But if he awakens and separates himself from the course of thought and emotion, if he owns them, rather than they holding him in bondage, then all his karma disappears, and he attains Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, complete and final liberation from the bonds of samsara and karma. And when the person's ego disappears and he merges with God, he attains nirvana. Another level of development is determined by the strength and unselfishness of one's love for all beings and God. And if one acts impersonally, without evaluating who is good, who is bad, like the sun radiates love to everything, he has attained liberation.
In our extreme times, when the fate of the entire planet is at stake, it is crucial for the knowledge of angels and benevolent spirits to spread as quickly as possible, globally, and reach thousands of people. In this way, we can change the future of all humanity. Which is why we are addressing you, dear soul of light. Spread the knowledge about our wise books and films. Share links to videos or cartoons. All of this is available and free. Invite women to individual practices, webinars, and seminars, and the Great Spirit of Light will help you and your family. It will direct an enormous amount of energy to fulfill all your desires. Benevolent spirits and angels will assist you and your loved ones in all matters. A thread of light and love extends from your heart to the hearts of thirsty women, and the creation of good and the dissemination of enlightened knowledge throughout the world begins. Become part of the mission of light. Help people, and God will help you.